Welcome to the Pickleball Addiction podcast. Today, I welcome to the show Koszuta, Pickleball Pro, but also known as That Pickleball Guy on YouTube. Hi, Kyle.
Hey, yeah, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for the invite.
No problem. Yeah, thanks for taking the time. So, for people who may not have heard about you or much about you, can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into pickleball?
Yeah, my background was basketball nearly my whole life. I did play like middle school tennis. And then and my brother and I, we had a table at our ping pong table at our house. So we played a lot of ping pong growing up, probably daily for a few years. So we got decent at ping pong. But then how did I hear about pickleball? A basketball friend of mine, he's a college basketball coach. We used to talk trash to each other like here and there. Like if we were ever going to be in an area where tennis was going to be there, we were like, "There's no way you beat me in tennis. Like we'll put money on it, 0% chance." And then, but the funny thing is, we never actually played tennis. We just talked trash for like 2 years because he lives in Atlanta. And then, we spent time together, but we were never in a location where there was a convenient tennis court nearby. So we would talk that trash. And then I guess a couple years later, he was like, "Hey," I was saying something like, "Man, you still can't beat me in tennis, just so you know." And he goes, "Well, I don't play tennis anymore. I play pickleball." And then I'd heard about pickleball with one time years ago. And he was like, "Yeah, you should try out pickleball." And interestingly enough, he was in town, and we in Phoenix here. He came in town. We were trying to go play pickleball, and we couldn't. We didn't have any paddles, and I'd never been, so I didn't know where any of the places to play were. So we went to a Dick's Sporting Goods, and we looked for pickleball paddles. And the one that we went to at the time, it was like an outlet one, maybe like a discounted one. There was no pickleball paddles. So like, oh man, like we can't even play. And then we're like, so should we drive 30 minutes to the other Dick's Sporting Goods or just not play? And so we just didn't play. So we still have not, like, we didn't play pickleball. We didn't play tennis together. We didn't play pickleball together. And then it happens that like 2 weeks later, I end up going and playing for the first time, and without him, somebody else. And the next day I went back the day after, and I've probably been playing nearly every day for the last, gosh, maybe now 2.5 years. So that's how I got into it. He was really the first guy that got me going.
So yeah, it's funny actually because I was doing a bit of research for the podcast and I found Kyle Koszuta, the basketball player. I was like, wow, there's a it's American sports obviously. So I didn't realize that you'd been playing basketball. I just thought it was another guy with the same name, and I thought, oh, maybe it's
Yeah,
not as
yeah. Well,
quite
it
as
was like
uncommon name as I thought.
I played. Yeah, I mean, I played basketball ever since I was little, and then I played tennis in middle school, and I played basketball because it was they weren't conflicting seasons, and it didn't like it was fine. I was doing multiple sports, and then when I got to college or when I got to high school, I played ninth grade tennis. But then I started to turn my attention to full-time basketball because it was becoming a more year-round thing. It's what I wanted to do in college. And so I dropped tennis. Plus, I was better at basketball. Like, I had a chance of getting a scholarship, and basketball scholarships were full scholarships, whereas many
Hmm.
tennis scholarships were not full, like, amount of money, tuition and stuff. So that's why I chose basketball.
Okay, okay. So what level did you get to in basketball?
I got a scholarship to play at Division One, and I played Division One school, Louisiana Monroe, for 2 years, and then
Nice.
I ended up transferring to a Division Two school in Orlando, Florida, for 2 years, Rollins College, and
Hmm.
then ended up spending about 5 years in Orlando before I moved out here to Phoenix.
Yeah. Okay, okay. So when you got into pickleball, well, one of the things you did, you started a blog, right? Which was your journey to going pro. So tell us a little bit about that and the idea behind that.
Yeah, I was actually in my previous job. I worked for a company called PGC Basketball, which was a basketball camp. It still is a basketball camp company. Put camps on all over the country and in Canada. And so I used to teach at those camps and lead those camps. And then I kind of weaseled my way into the marketing team over there because I always had an interest in marketing. And then I was working on the newsletter at that company, and I was also helping with the social media, the video, the editing, the posting, all things social media and like content distribution. So when I started pickleball, this is actually interesting, and I actually haven't. I don't think I've shared this with many people because it just doesn't usually come up. But I was really interested in starting a newsletter, and I had been following a lot of different email newsletters, and so for about 3 weeks I was preparing. I was like in this local library here preparing to write a. I'm going to answer your question here in a second, but I was preparing to write a like a marketing, storytelling, copywriting newsletter. That was what I was really interested in at the time, and I was reading all these marketing books and storytelling books,
Yeah.
and so I had everything put together. Like I had a landing page, I had the first 10 weeks editions of the newsletter, I had how I was going to get people onto the newsletter, where I was going to distribute the newsletter, and then I was sitting in my room, and I'd been playing pickleball at this time for like probably like 3 or 4 months as I was starting this other. But it was just fun. I was going to the park, I was having a blast, and my buddy Tyler was like, "Dude, I gotta be honest. I think you should actually forget the marketing and storytelling news. Just go all pickleball." And I was like, "Yeah, I don't know." And so on my whiteboard in my room, I had kind of my target dates for things for my other newsletter. And then that night, after I got off the phone with him, I put on my like the other side of my whiteboard, like pickleball newsletter and content. And so I started thinking about it for the next couple of days. And I'm like, "All right, Tyler, I think I'll just do both." And he was like, "Yeah, I don't know about that. It's like a lot of work, and I don't think the other one's very interesting. Like everybody else is doing these marketing ones and storytelling ones. It's like a pretty saturated market." And I was like, "All right." So I sat on it for another couple of days, and then I thought about what would the storyline be. And I was already interested in playing pickleball like more and at a higher level. And there was other things like people were like, "Hey, you should play a tournament." And I'm like, "Is pickleball professional thing? Is that even a real deal?" So all these things were going on in my head. But long story longer, that conversation led to me dropping the marketing and storytelling newsletter and starting. And I still have all those documents like in a Notion file somewhere. Like I spent so many. I probably spent 20 or 30, maybe more hours on that. And anyway, so I started this other newsletter that the storyline was from never playing to pro in 12 months. Like that was what my mission became. And so I started a newsletter and I started an Instagram account, that pickleball guy, and thought I would just try to document. And I have. I mean, I've written. I mean, now I think I'm on like edition 114 or something like that. It's been going on for a long time. I think I've probably missed 5 weeks in the 114 weeks, just taking a week off or something. But I've really shared much of my journey through trying to become a professional up to like now. I changed the tagline from never playing to pro. There's a section in my newsletter that's like an update on my journey playing pro, and so
Yeah.
that's how the content got started.
Nice, nice, nice. Yeah, I mean, obviously that's kind of interesting to everyone. Yeah, storytelling, right? Everyone loves a good story, and especially a live story where you can see progress. So,
Yeah.
I used to be in marketing where you kind of this is how I found out about pickleball actually, because I was helping content creators like bloggers make money from their passion. So, had about 5 people in 1 year like say, "I want to create a pickleball blog because because I'm really into it, and that's why I want to like make money from content." So that's how I found out about pickleball. But it's the same thing. Like we used to tell stories about like start a brand new website, create blogs, and then tell people the journey of how you start making money from that, and like your money milestones
Hmm.
and all those kind of things. People love that kind of stuff, and yeah, I can totally
Yeah,
see why
for sure.
pickleball that
That's
worked.
awesome. That's awesome.
Um, so you play so you played in the PPA, right?
I do.
Or
Yeah, I've played quite a few PPAs.
and what's some of the best moments you've had in those tournaments?
Yeah, I mean the one that comes to mind is the PPAs evolved over time because or when I first started playing them, I was mainly I was playing the amateur tournaments. Like one that comes to mind right away was I was playing the PPA Mesa, which actually just took place here this past weekend, but this was 2 years ago. And I was playing with my buddy Devin McCall, and we were in a 4-5 bracket. And it was cool. My buddies, we all kind of moved up together. We all met at this local park. We were all just playing there, putting our paddles in. And then we were all probably like 3-5 at the time. And we all just worked up to 4-0. So we didn't really know when to move up. There wasn't Duper at the time
Mm,
either, or it
mm.
wasn't very well known. And so we all would just like go to 4-0 at the same time. We're like, let's all enter 4-5. So we all were just like entering the higher level. We weren't going, I think, ahead of what we believed. We thought we were 4-0. We thought we were 4-5. So we entered a 4-5 at this Mesa tournament, and it was like a 24 team bracket, which was huge. Now there's like 50 team brackets because there's so many, and this Mesa venue has 50 something or 40 something courts. So 4-5 bracket, and we just made a run. Remember we were down like 11-14 in the back draw because I think we had to work our way back, and we ended up winning that match, and we ended up going on to the bronze match, and we ended up We ended up losing, but we ended up getting third place, and I think that was my first 4-5 medal, and that was a really memorable moment because it was like the biggest bracket I had ever played in. And then I remember, just to go up a level here, I remember the last 5-0 tournament I ever played in was in Atlanta. I was playing with my buddy Shay Underwood, and I had kind of like dabbled in a couple pro events, but I wasn't sure if I was ready for it. And me and Shay went and kind of just like annihilated the field and won the 5-0 like pretty handily. And like different tournaments have different 5-0. You know, like sometimes they're more competitive than others. That's how
Yeah.
all tournaments are, depending on who shows up and all that. But that was like, all right, like that was a moment I drew in the sand of this is my last 5-0 tournament. I'd won like 5-0 golds by that time. And I'm like, all right, I think I'm ready to at least move into the pro events. And that was memorable. And then, yeah, I know you asked for one, but these are just, I'm going back in
Yeah,
time
yeah, no,
here.
go.
The next most memorable one was my first pro mixed tournament. Memorable for a not as positive reason. We were playing a different Atlanta venue. This was at the Peachtree Classic. I think the one that's like at that big Lifetime Fitness in Atlanta. Really awesome venue. And we had first match on center against Kyle Yates and Jesse Irvin, who have both been staples of the sport for a long time. And me and Jennifer Tavernier, who's a really good player, we ended up going and playing that first round match, and we lost 11-0, 11-0 in about 5 minutes, and that was very memorable. And that was really memorable because 2 days later we played on Sunday. Friday was the mixed doubles pro draw, but we could also, because we could also go play the 5-0 on Sunday. So we got a little double dip thing going on. So we played 5-0, and we kind of, there was one tough match. We kind of ran through that draw, and we won the gold. And that was memorable of like, okay, what's the main difference here between us
Yeah.
crushing a pretty good 5-0 bracket, I felt like, it was in Las Vegas. Sorry, that was in Atlanta. Sorry, I was mixing up. We did win this Las Vegas one too, no, actually, sorry. We ran through the Las Vegas one. We didn't run through the Atlanta one. There was a tough draw. We had to like go through the back draw. We had like a 16-14 match. We worked our way back. We had to win best 2 out of 3 in the finals and then win a game to 15 because we were coming
Yeah.
through the back draw, and that's how it
Yeah.
worked. And that was super memorable. Just to think like, all right, what was the biggest difference? And we learned some things there. And then I'll give you one more that was memorable. Was then we went over to Daytona. This is probably a little less than a year ago, and I was playing with my really good buddy who lives in town, Craig Johnson, and we won our first round match. I think it was in 3. It was like 11-7 the third, and our second round match we ended up going on center court. It's a pretty big center court. It's like under an overhang thing, and we ended up playing the Johns brothers. And so we were pumped. We're like, let's go play the Johns brothers on center court. This is awesome. They're the number one team in
Yeah.
the world. And we got absolutely obliterated in game one, embarrassed for that matter. And then in game two, we really competed and had an awesome game. In fact, we were up like 9-8, 1, I think. And I
Yeah.
have a very memorable missed speed up that I thought would have put us at 10-8. Missed the back line by like an inch. And then we lost that match. But that was a really memorable one of like, wow, I started this blog where I'm playing 3-5, and here I am playing against the number one team in the world and about to win a game against them, and we ended up losing it. But that was a memorable time. So those are 4 pretty memorable moments.
Yeah. So what was the conclusion you drew between, crushing 5-0 and then struggling at pro? Hi, Mark Mars here. I hope you're enjoying the show. This podcast is sponsored in part by the Pickleball Addiction store and newsletter. To support the show, please check out the Pickleball Addiction store at pickleballaddiction.co, where we stock a wide range of paddles, balls, nets, and other accessories. Use coupon code POD10, that's POD10, to get 10% off your first purchase. You can also check out the Pickleball Addiction newsletter at pickleballaddiction.news, where we cover the latest news in pickleball from the UK and around the world. Thanks for your support, and now back to the show.
Yeah, it's a good. I was sharing this with some people just recently because it's so etched in my mind, that match. The number one thing that comes to mind is, it's really hard to get to the kitchen when you're playing the pro team. So like I play, since I've had a wrist injury here for a little while, so I've been playing left-handed, and I've played lefty for like the last 2 or 3 months. And I have some close friends here who are about a 4.0 level, and the main difference between them and a level up, there's quite a few, but one of the main differences is their ability to apply pressure on the fourth shot. So,
Yeah.
like I hit my serve, that's the first, there's a return, that's the second, and then the third shot is I say I hit a third shot drop or I hit a third shot drive. What is their next shot? And that's the shot that they're still struggling to apply more pressure. They kind of get the concept, but like, how do you do it? And so when I played that match with against Jesse and Kyle, if you miss a third shot drop, slightly high, then they're like applying a lot of pressure with topspin back at your feet. Or if you
Yeah.
drive a ball and it's not low and dippy, and rather it's
Yeah.
high and flat, they're crushing it and making you hit a fifth shot from near the baseline. So we struggled I really want to. I wish I could have had that tape because it's such a memorable. But Jennifer was like mad after the match and she like deleted it right away, which I understand.
Oh,
So
really?
we don't have it. I was like, Jennifer, I need that footage because I was like, because it really would be like it would be great learning.
Yeah.
Gosh, it would be so good. But we couldn't get to the kitchen very well, and then so you're not going to score points against good teams if you're not getting to the kitchen, and if you don't have a really big third shot drive and you can't maybe cause a few errors that way. So that was one of the biggest differences. And then one of the things on the flip side, when we were hitting fourths and they were hitting their thirds, like they would hit a third shot drop and we didn't apply very much pressure. So they were able to basically walk into the kitchen and neutralize, our positional advantage of being, one person starts at the kitchen on the return. So that was, and then when we got to the kitchen, that's like phase two. Phase one is, do you get to the kitchen when you're serving? And there's stats. The Real Clear Stats has done quite a
Yeah.
few data points on that and like how important it is to get to the kitchen in order to win points. That's phase one, getting to the kitchen, and then phase two is, what do you do when you get there? And so they were better at both phases in all areas. And when we were there, I was just happy to be dinking it twice because we hadn't been there very often. And by that point, I was just popping up dinks, afraid of what was about to happen next. And so those were some of the primary differences I would say is, if you can't get to the kitchen, you won't win at the next level. That's one of the things. And if you, like, I talk to my buddies all the time. Like, they can rip through people at a 4.0 level pretty well. Like, they'll just rip drives at them and they can't handle it, or they'll rip bad speed ups and they can't handle it. But then they go play against me and, I don't know, one of my buddies or something, and they can't rip through us. Their drives aren't good enough and our blocks are too good. And then when we get to the kitchen, they're like panicking, like I was panicking against that other team. So that's one of the main differences, is like the ability to get to the kitchen can't be overstated.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I'm playing a lot lower level than you, but I kind of found something. I've been playing against better players kind of recently, and when they hit, it's actually the second shot rather than the fourth shot, but like they hit the serve, and instead of just like lobbing the ball back, I've been hitting it back harder, right? But then what I find is that I then can't get to the kitchen as quick as I used to, because now like I've hit it back to them so quickly that then they're back on top of it again and hitting it back on my feet, which is again. So now I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, should I do a lob shot, more of a lob? But I feel like I need to be probably running in forward with the ball on my return so that I can get there even
Yeah.
if I'm driving harder. Like, I don't know.
That's a tricky one. I think it depends on mobility and your quickness yet to get to the kitchen. So, if I'm talking to an 80-year-old, I'm telling them not to hit a hard ball back and rather float it with a higher trajectory so it gives them more time to get to the kitchen. Because you'd rather be stationary, on balance, waiting at the kitchen. That's the perfect scenario. Obviously you're vulnerable when you're moving in and somebody's hitting it, especially down at your feet. But even if it's up near your body, it's still a more difficult volley because you're on the move. And anytime you add movement, you're adding a level of difficulty. So, what I have gone, I've gotten much better at moving volleys. And I guess what's the best solution? I'm still kind of navigating that. I mean, with the big forehands now at the pro level, if you give a really lofty ball to give yourself more time,
Yeah.
these guys are like teeing off at us, and they're tennis players, so they're used to taking higher forehands. So I don't love that feeling of having to defend that. What I prefer is I would prefer to hit a lower penetrating ball that's just penetrating through the air back towards within 3 to 4 feet of the back line, because I just know that if they're hitting it from the baseline, I have more time to react. If I hit a short return, like here's the thing, if you miss a lofty one high, sorry, if you miss a lofty one short, then you're just screwed because you're running in and you're running in. You're running this way, they're running this way, right? And the ball's high, so it's going to be able to be hit down. So there's danger to like the lofty one because you can miss it short, and you don't want to miss it short. So my rule for myself, and when I talk about it, is like do your best to hit it deep. That's number
Yeah.
one, and that's what you want to aim for. If you can hit it deep with more loft to give yourself more time, that's great. And then here's another one that no one really talks about. If you have decent ability to direct where you hit the ball, and you're like hit it to the center if you're really bad. Like some people just can't hit it anywhere. They just hit it to the center. Just give yourself the most room for mistake. But if you can direct it, I really like to hit it at two places. One is at the left side player's backhand, assuming they're a righty,
Yeah.
because their backhand is typically, most players don't have a great two-handed backhand rip. They're going to drop that shot. Tennis players do, of course, but and then the second place is I like to hit it right at the right side player's left foot if I can aim it there, because what happens there is that's their backhand, but most of the time they're going to actually move out of the way, and the left side player is going to come over across the split line, the middle line, and take it with their forehand. But
Yeah.
that's a good thing, because if they do that, they're going to be moving horizontally, not directly at me towards the net. So that's going to be a more difficult shot for them to hit with great power and precision. And then sometimes you get confusion on that spot. Like, whose is it? Is it my backhand? Is it your forehand? So I like going to the backhand areas of both players. And that's kind of a principle I've been using a lot in the kitchen. Just go to the backhands of both players. The right side player's left foot, go to the left side player's left foot. Like, you'll win a lot of points just by doing that.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's a good tip. Yeah, I generally hit it down the middle just so the angles aren't so much there. But yeah, I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't know
no,
what
it's
I'm
good. I
doing.
mean, but even if you're going down, if you're going down the middle, just like aim it slightly more towards that player's left
Yeah.
foot, 'cause it's still
Yeah.
kind of in the middle, right?
Yeah.
And but it takes away angles still a bit, but yeah.
Nice. Wow, I didn't think I was going to get some coaching today. This is good. This is already good.
That's all I think about.
All right, so you also play in the Arizona Pickleball League, right? So a lot of people in the UK probably haven't heard of that. I love it because it's on YouTube, and the production quality is just amazing on that thing. So, yeah, can you tell us a little bit about the Arizona Pickleball League for people who don't know?
Yeah, Arizona Pickleball League. This Patrick and Ashley, they're the two that own this company, Jigsaw Health, and they are obsessed with pickleball. And they opened up this space called the Orchard, and originally they were doing some partnership with the PPA, where PPA players would come in and play a once a month event there. And then it shifted to, hey, we have a bunch of Arizona talent coming up, and so they got 10 of the best guys, 10 of the best girls. Is that right? 5, 4, yeah, 10 of the best guys, 10 of the best girls from Arizona, and started up this league, local league, that has become more than that recently. But it was basically like they have a full-on production team on their staff who was helping them with different areas of their business. And so now they have this beautiful space, they have this team, they have this idea, and so they started the Arizona Pickleball League, which plays on Tuesday nights. And in fact, if you go to my YouTube channel, and I think if you go, let me just take a peek, if someone's like interested in seeing it, there's on my YouTube channel, which is just That Pickleball Guy, there's a section on, if you go to there's this tab, live, you can we streamed a few of them through my channel as well. So you can just take a peek at it and see the world-class production value that they have. But 4-quarter format, it's a little bit different than, say, like an MLP. The first year we did a cumulative scoring, which was like after the first quarter, a 15-minute quarter, it was like 15, 14, whatever. The score stayed. Yeah, and then it moved on, and then it was cumulative to the end. But we ended up shifting that this past year to a different format, which was like you had to win each quarter, right? And you had to win, so if you won 15, 14, that was 1-0, that type of thing. Anyway, so yeah, they stream it though on YouTube nationwide, worldwide for that matter, and it's been amazing, especially like for the local players, just to get some notoriety, outside of a tournament scene. Because unless you're on center court, at a PPA or an APP or you're on MLP, like you're not going to get that much notoriety because you're playing in the backcourt at a PPA tournament where not many fans are watching or there's not much media attention over there. So that's really an amazing thing. They've done just a phenomenal job. In fact, there's actually a documentary coming out soon. We're actually having a viewing party like in the next month for season 1. They hired a documentary crew to follow season 1. So that's coming out. So keep your eyes out for that as well.
Awesome. Yeah, that'd be awesome to see. Yeah. So has it got behind the scenes stuff in that?
It's behind the scenes. Yeah, they featured, like I was one of the features of it. They featured like 8 players in it. Kind of followed us around a little bit, told the story of the league, did some personal stuff. Nice. Came over to my house and like watched me work on my computer for a second, stuff like that. Like just fun behind the scenes stuff to tell the story of the league.
Oh, nice. Okay, yeah. Let me know when that's out. I'm sure I'll see it, but
yeah, I will.
I'll be interested. So you've had mixed success, right, in that league. So you play for the Tornadoes, season 1, season 2, and season 1 you like dominated right top of the league. But then
we won. We were 4-0, and then we lost in the semis. In fact, my girlfriend came in at the end and played on the team that ended up beating us, and she's like played in MLP, so she's legit, and she got brought on the team, and so I was happy for her, kinda. But then the next year. Last year we did. I think we went 2-2 in the league, and then we lost in the first round of the tournament. So not as good as we wanted to do, but yeah, it was just so fun, like to be able to show up on a Tuesday in your hometown or where you live in, and like drive 15 minutes and play in front of fans and play on YouTube, and then drive home and like wake up the next day and just like continue your life is I can't complain about that regardless of the results.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, such a good setting to play. Yeah, very jealous of that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so you documented going pro. And you mentioned you're documenting like what you're doing as a pro. But like, what are your aspirations of the future? Like, where do you want to take it next?
Yeah, it's a good question. I've been thinking a lot about that, especially because I've been out with this wrist thing. It's had, I've been training less. I've still been playing left-handed quite a bit, but my number one goal is still to play at the highest level, and I deep down in my heart believe I can make it to the top of the game, and I'm training, in accordance with that belief. From a working out standpoint to recovering and kind of all things that go into being a professional athlete. I think more and more players are taking it more seriously, as every other sport has, where like, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, there was top players who weren't even practicing. They would play rec here and there, but they were still at the top of the game. So that's not really a thing as much anymore. And obviously, how could it be? More players are coming in. So that's my number one goal. I love playing and I love training, and it gives me this mission in life, just like anybody who, if anybody has a goal from a pickleball perspective to make it to 4-0, 5-0, to pro, it's like, it's fun. You're chasing something, and it keeps you in line with that. And then from a overall pickleball standpoint, I love making videos. It's so fun for me. I think I've sought out a lot of knowledge from the best players, some of the best teachers in the game. I've just had hundreds of conversations with my buddies in town about every detail of the game. We play for 2 hours and we sit and stretch and talk for an hour about every single thing that just happened. And I've been doing that for 2 years. And so I think, I love being able to create on my YouTube channel. I make videos, on Instagram. And I'm starting this pickleball school concept, which is going to be some in-person clinics. I'm calling it a school. I think it's more like to teach people how to be a student of the game rather than just like show up and have a camp experience. So that's that. I'm doing some of that. I'm gonna create an online platform that's a little bit more connect. My YouTube channel is, I love the YouTube format that I can go deep on one topic, and I have a video coming out in a couple of days. I don't know when this video is going to be aired, but February 28th, I launch a video on letting out balls go. And, my YouTube channel does that, but what it doesn't do is it doesn't like connect the dots for everything. Like, I have a video on out balls, I have a video on third shot drops, I have a video on returns, I have a video on serves. So if somebody goes there, they see a lot of independent, videos to watch. So I want to create something that is a bit more of a framework for people. Like, how do you think about the game? How do you think about improvement? And it's really just all the stuff I've documented. I've been so grateful. I've been around some of the best teachers, like, in my opinion. I've just seen some world-class teachers when I was working basketball camps, and they trained me on how to teach a little bit, and then I got to watch them train others and on how to learn all these different things. So I'm just going to take all that information and put it into a more connected online platform. But I think long story short, what is that? I'm just creating a larger brand for educational content, and that's kind of the lead on it, is the educational content. At some point, I'll probably have some merchandise, and I think I'll probably do a podcast in the next 12 months. There's one guy who I know well, who I'm going to do a podcast with, but I'm just trying to do one thing really well at a time, because of how much I love playing and training. Training takes up 4 or 5 hours a day. As far as like, you're going to train, I might train in the morning and like drill, and then I'm going to go, like, I might go do some recovery stuff, and might play a game in the afternoon. All of a sudden I look up and it's like, wow, that was 5 hours of my day. So, if I wanted to build this massive business, I probably could do it faster if I was just in on the business aspect. But because I love playing so much, I'm just like, all right, let me do a newsletter for a year and a half and an Instagram page. All right, then a year and a half later, I started a YouTube channel, and that's all I did last year. I did my other two. I added on the YouTube channel. I made like 47 videos last year. And now this year is kind of the year of the pickleball school that I'm going to be building over the course of the year. And I think then within the next few months, whether near the end of the year or next year, I'm going to start a podcast probably. And I know the guy I'm going to do it with. So kind of just doing that over the course of when I look back in 5 years, it's like just kind of have all these different angles of things I enjoy doing that I think can help a lot of people, and also bring me a lot of joy in the creation.
Yeah. That sounds good, actually. Something like a structured learning kind of, this almost maybe, following on from how you did, like, from novice to pro, right? Like, you're a 3.0, like, what do you want to focus on? Like, well, if you're 3.5, then, actually some sort of structured learning like that would be pretty cool, I think.
Yeah. The truth is, I've been reading a lot of different books on learning and how to accumulate information and like mastery in different topics and how people have gotten to that place. And not like the 1 in a million person who was like Beethoven, at a young age, but like, how does someone go from just being like this novice to an actual expert? And I'm compiling that information and like sitting with it and really trying to digest it slowly. And that is really what I want to help people with, is giving them just a way to think about things a little differently. Because there's not much out in pickleball. It's very, like, even like YouTube, there's great videos. Other people are making great videos too. It's just, it's one lens. And I think in a lot of ways we're teaching, people are learning the game backwards. I'll give you one example here just because I'm excited about this topic, but I don't know if this is totally accurate yet, but I've been wrestling with this concept that, like, your position on the court, when you think about learning and how to get better, your position on the court is the most important thing. Because your position, like whether you're at the baseline or you're up at the kitchen, your position determines the options that you have, right? If I hit a return and stay back, and they hit me the next ball, my options are to hit another ball from the baseline that might be a drop. I could hit another drive. Okay, that's one. But if I hit a return and I run up to the kitchen, which is what everyone does, if you know what you're doing, then my options change. My options are, maybe I take the next ball out of the air. Maybe I hit a ding, X, Y, and Z, right? So your positions determine your options. Your options inform, and let's say you have 3 options up at the kitchen. Your options inform your shot selection A, B, and C, which is like informed by your ability. Like, maybe you shouldn't hit option A because you don't have that shot yet, right? Yeah. But if your position determines your options and your options inform your shot selection, then your shot selection is informed or informs your technique, right? And then technique really comes into play. And as I've thought about this in basketball and learned it, other people told me this concept. I'm just molding it for pickleball. In basketball, it was like, hey, let's learn a crossover dribble, because a crossover dribble is a great move. But then a kid goes into a game and doesn't know how to use a crossover dribble because they only practiced a crossover dribble in isolation. They didn't practice crossover dribble in any type of real game scenario where their brain, their eyes could see the cues around them. So I think a lot of us are learning pickleball just naturally. We go on the court, we learn technique first, and then we're thinking about shot selection, then we're thinking about right, but we're learning technique, and really I think technique should be the final thing that you really focus on if you want to improve faster.
Ah, right.
Of course, technique comes into play, of course, like serve and return, like that would be an example of, does your position inform your options? I mean, you're serving the ball, yes, a little bit. Like if you moved over to the right, you have maybe a slightly different option for an angle. But like your serve, you just want to have a certain amount of technique. Your return, but kind of after the serve and return. Shoot, on a return, if you're standing too close to the baseline, it determines your options. Like you're going to be hitting a different type of shot than if you're 3 feet behind the baseline from a big server. So that's what I've been thinking a lot about to help people. I think we just kind of have it wrong, but it's not even wrong. It's like it slows down your improvement. I'll give you one final example. If many people miss a shot in practice and they lose the opportunity for learning, so they get so frustrated, they miss a shot, they get so frustrated that they turn back and they walk back toward the baseline for the next point, and they're mad at themselves, and they're using language like, you got to roll your wrist over, you got to tighter, compact, and they're talking their mind is completely revolving around their technique. Okay, so one, I wrote an article about this. Like you want to reflect on your points, kind of independent of the outcome. Like, did I make the right decision? Was I in the right position, despite what the outcome was? Because that's just going to like cloud your learning. But that's the second one is, people are so mad about their technique that they're actually not asking themselves, was I standing in the right position? Because most of the time the answer is no. You were not standing in the right position. After you hit that shot, you should have moved 3 feet forward. Because if you would have moved 3 feet forward, you would not have let the next ball bounce, and you would have hit up right. And so then it's this spiral of like, you're so mad about your third shot drop, and you're so mad about your blah blah blah, and you're like, yeah, but you're like, I hear it at the courts all the time. I listen to people, and they say like, this happened. I'm like, yeah, but that actually is not I think there's a term like keystone habit or keystone move, the domino. If you get the first domino right, then the rest of them fall. But if you're only thinking about the third domino out of 4, you're missing what came before it, and that's actually what's more important most of the time. That's where my head is at.
Yeah, I love that. Love that. That makes sense. Okay, one final question then before I let you go. So
yeah, perfect.
What do you see happening in pickleball in the next sort of 12, 24 months? What are you most excited about?
Pickleball in the next 24 months continues to grow. I just don't think there's any way it doesn't grow. Courts are being built everywhere. People are obsessed with it, and there's a deeper psychological reason why that people love pickleball. It's easy to learn. You advance quickly and make progress fast. It's community, all those things. So it's not going to stop. I don't think it's going to stop for a long time, despite what happens in the pro game, which there's been some messiness going on in that. The amateur market of people coming in and enjoying this game, from young kids to 90-year-olds having a blast, it's not going to stop. What's the biggest change? It'll be interesting to see. I don't know what the answer is, but just as paddle technology changes, I don't like the poppier paddles. I think they're actually getting dangerous, and I think they're changing the essence of the game that has been around for so long, and I don't like that. I think there's an art to the pickleball that is somewhat lost when the paddles get too poppy, because it just changes it to become like almost like a mini game of tennis, where really the game of doubles is so beautiful if you really like break it down, and there's so much artistry to it in so many ways, and I think it gets a little bit lost. And then the danger thing is like paddles have these different sounds and they're popping off differently. So I think the paddles technology will continue to evolve. I don't know what it's going to evolve to, but I mean, everyone's trying to create a good product, make more money, sell more product, all those things. So I think that's another one. And then I think just more amateur league formats are going to come out, and like really good. I think there's going to be better formats for amateurs. Like the minor league pickleball one is so fun. I think more things like that, ways for adults to compete at something with other people that are like, and kids, but like adults don't get to compete at things like this as much. You kind of stop doing that. And then I think another one is kids. Junior pickleball will take off the next 24 months. I already know some people working pretty hard at it, and it's going to be. I mean, that's actually bad news for all of us pros right now, because they're all going to be pros by 14. That's gonna be a huge change. And then there's one other one I was thinking of. I can't. Oh yeah, I think the like Duper or whatever. Like there's gonna be there's more data, the rating system. I mean, of course, people get frustrated by Duper and like it's not accurate and blah blah blah. I mean, it's like yes, that's probably true in a lot of ways, or whatever the rating system is that people look at. But you need more data in these things, and like yes, you need to have a more accurate system, but you need like a lot more data for something to be accurate. Like if I shoot one basketball shot, and I make it, that doesn't mean I'm a great shooter. It means I hit one shot. You know, we need me to shoot 100 shots to know if I'm a good shooter or not. So, I think those are all things that are gonna continue to evolve in the next 24 months.
Yeah, nice. Okay, that's great. So, if people want to follow what you're doing, where's the best place for them to go?
Yeah, thanks for asking. Yeah, thatpickleballguy.com will just get you on my newsletter. I post my YouTube videos out to the email list. I have a weekly newsletter that I do. I share a tip. Usually it's a video I've made, and then I have a section called For the Pickleball Nerds, which is what I consider myself. That I just want to go deep on a topic, and I'll just like break down a very nuanced topic. And then I share an update on my journey playing. What tournament am I going to? How did it go? What did I learn? Those type of things. So that's at thatpickleballguy.com. And then Instagram, thatpickleballguy. And then YouTube is the same. It's thatpickleballguy. It's super easy all across the board. I post YouTube videos. I'm doing it like every couple of weeks now because I'm trying to like my editor has gotten so good, and I've gotten so like interested in making like deeply thoughtful videos. Like last year, I made a lot of videos, but I didn't spend as much time on each video that I am now. So we're doing less videos, but that pickleball guy across all platforms is basically the place to go. And if anyone wants to shoot me an email about anything, I do my best to answer every email. Just Kyle at thatpickleballguy.com. It's better to email me there than Instagram, DM me. Those get kind of weird, so I try to not be on DM so much.
Yeah.
Although I did answer your DM.
You did. It does work.
Sometimes they just get lost sometimes. So yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks, Carl. Hope your wrist gets better soon. But thanks again for taking the time to come onto the Pickleball Addiction podcast.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for having me.